Today, we're diving into the world of pharmacy automation. But we're not talking about those giant warehouse-sized robots you might be picturing. Nope. We're zooming in on a specialist company that tackles one of the single most critical and riskiest tasks in any pharmacy. So, to get us started, I want to pose a question. What do you think is a pharmacy's most repetitive, high-risk, and frankly challenging task? It's something that happens thousands, maybe millions of times a day in hospitals and pharmacies all over the world. The answer? Manually packaging medications. It is, as our source material perfectly puts it, laborious, error-prone, and time-consuming. This one activity is a massive bottleneck and, more importantly, a huge source of potential patient safety issues. And that brings us right to the heart of our explainer today, the pharmacy packaging problem. Let's really break down what that actually means. It really boils down to this three-pronged challenge. First up, you've got safety. I mean, a tiny mistake, a misplaced decimal point, a misread label, the consequences can be incredibly serious. Second, efficiency. You have highly trained, highly paid pharmacy staff spending hours and hours on this tedious, manual task. And third, compliance. You have regulations like the Drug Supply Chain Security Act, which demand this meticulous tracking and labeling that is just so difficult to do perfectly by hand. So, when you have a problem this specific and with stakes this high, you really need a specific kind of solution. And that is exactly where a specialist company enters the scene. Meet Pearson Medical Technologies, or PMT. This is a US-based company that has been laser-focused on this one niche for over half a century. And here's the key takeaway. They don't try to build all-in-one pharmacy robots that do everything. They specialize in solving the medication packaging and labeling problem, period. You know, their history really tells the story of their focus. They started this journey over 50 years ago and have since become a pioneer in integrating the hardware and the software. And just recently, in December 2024, their flagship system got European certification. That's a huge deal and a clear signal of their plans for international growth. Okay, so how do they actually solve that three-pronged challenge we were just talking about? Let's pop the hood and take a look inside the PMT toolkit. This slide gives us a fantastic overview. You can see it's a whole suite of products that are designed to work together. You've got hardware, like the iPack RX for the actual packaging, the IntelliCount for accurately feeding the pills, and then the software brain of the whole operation, Mprint V4, which handles all that critical labeling and compliance. It's a complete, cohesive system. Let's put the iPack RX under the microscope for a sec. This is way more than just a simple packaging machine. It has what they call no-crush technology to protect delicate pills. That's a really subtle but super important feature. It's flexible, so it can handle different package sizes on the fly, and this is crucial, it allows for unattended operation. That directly tackles the efficiency problem by freeing up your valuable staff to do more important patient-facing work. Now, if the iPack is the hands of the operation, the Mprint software is definitely the brain. This is the piece that deals with the super complex world of compliance. It manages all the required data for DSCSA, creating a unique digital fingerprint for every single dose. And that one-click print feature, it's a perfect example of their philosophy, making a complex, error-prone task simple, fast, and repeatable. Okay, so the technology is impressive, for sure. But what does all this mean in the real competitive market? Look, every company has its strengths and its challenges. So let's get a nice, balanced view. This slide really lays it all out, the two sides of the coin. On one hand, you have PMT's deep expertise, their advanced software, and a smaller footprint that's perfect for certain pharmacies. But on the other hand, they are up against some much larger full-stack automation vendors. You know, the companies that offer these massive end-to-end solutions. And of course, their systems have to integrate with all the other software a pharmacy is already using. So, let's really dig into that specialist's edge, because it's a big deal. Their intense focus on packaging means their software is purpose-built for modern compliance. And their tabletop designs? Honestly, that's a game changer. It makes automation accessible to smaller hospitals or long-term care facilities that just don't have the space or the budget for a massive robotic assembly line. But you've got to be realistic, right? It's also important to look at the hurdles. Because they're so specialized, their scope is naturally narrower than some of the competition. A huge factor for any pharmacy is going to be how well the system plays with their existing software. And while it's perfect for many, the throughput might just not be enough for those really, really high-volume central fill operations.
So, after looking at the problem, the solution, and its place in the market, what's the final verdict? Who is this solution really for?
Okay, here's the bottom line. This is why all this matters to you. Pearson Medical Technologies could be a fantastic fit if your pharmacy ticks these boxes. If your main bottleneck is manual repackaging, if you're tight on space, if compliance is a huge headache, and if you desperately want to free up your staff for more clinical duties, then this is a solution that should absolutely be on your shortlist. But wait, before making any big decisions, these are the crucial must-ask questions. You have to be totally honest about your volume needs. You've got to dig deep into the integration details. You need to calculate the real return on investment based not just on labor savings, but on error reduction. And finally, you have to make sure you'll have solid local support. This due diligence is absolutely non-negotiable. And that really leaves us with one final big thought. Pearson Medical Technologies has clearly bet their entire future on being a specialist. And it poses a really fascinating question for the whole industry. Is the future of automation about these giant, complex systems that try to do everything? Or is it about specialists who focus on doing one critical thing perfectly?